My name's Tatnell. I'm the Technical Manager for cereal fungicides for Syngenta in the UK and Ireland. It's the middle of May and I'm standing in a field of winter wheat here near Cambridge in the east of England. And I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about disease development and the prospects for fungicide applications for the rest of this season. As you can see, it's hot and sunny here today. It's been dry really since late April. Here and elsewhere where that rain hasn't come, we're seeing the start of some crop stress. We're seeing short crops and we're seeing very forward crops due to the heat and the drought. And that's meaning we've got all these leaves out now, our key yield building platforms, leaves 1, 2 and 3, with a very long season ahead of them, and us wanting to keep them green to maximise that yield potential. This early season has also brought forward a whole lot of discussions about spray timings. We're obviously on the cusp of T2 in many places, or it's already gone on. If it hasn't, if you delay, you go T2.5. Some people think about a holding spray and then coming back with a major input at T3. What's the right thing to do? Of course it depends on the weather going forward. We haven't got a crystal ball, but we can have a look at scenarios and timings, and in particular, of course, how, in this case, Moravis will fit into those. So the first future scenario I can see, I would call the superpower scenario, based on Moravis's amazing ability to control the foliar diseases in wheat and barley. And we might be in that situation, as I say, in the extreme southwest, and where we've been lucky enough to catch these rain-bringing thunderstorms in the south and the west more generally. So that's actually a season a bit more like last year. Clear disease threat or disease presence at T2. We want a well-timed T2 in those situations to keep that disease under control. And you only look back to last year to see how well Moravis did. If you don't believe us, look at the AHDB fungicide performance curves. It is fantastic for Septoria, Fusarium, and most barley diseases. So, in some senses, that's the easy one, and let's hope that you are one of those people who's caught that rain. But what, of course, if you're like here and it hasn't rained since that T1 rain in April, when will it rain next? Well, I like to think back to 2019, a season very much like this one. No real rain in the east from T1, as it turned out, right through until around T3 or later in the middle of June. In fact, it rained on the 13th of June, and anyone who went to cereals that day in Lincolnshire will remember that car park quagmire. So what if that happens here? Well, as we saw then with Moravis, applied at T2, hanging around in the crop for ages, waiting for that disease. When it eventually came, epidemic of Septoria into July. When the yield combines ran, 2.5 tonnes over the standards of the day. So we know we've got great stamina with Moravis. If it's sprayed, it will be waiting for that disease. It will outlast any other product. We also know from a T2 with Moravis, we get good Fusarium control into T3. So again, that is showing its sheer stamina. It's controlling disease on the ear from T2 applications. And take Ramularia in barley. That is a stress-induced disease. We have lots of stress around now. We have heat and drought and sunlight, all stresses that can induce Ramularia. Late season disease, again, Moravis is fantastic on Ramularia. So we've got that stamina required kind of scenario covered. Of course, let's hope it doesn't happen, but we could get through into late June and we haven't had any rain. And then if we do, perhaps it's too late to really impact in foliar disease terms. Now, if we're in that situation, I would call that the certainty situation. You want to know that you put a fungicide on, that it's at least going to do something and pay for itself. We have seen excellent yield responses in the absence of disease from Moravis. That is largely based on its physiological impacts. We know that it helps the plant regulate its water loss, and it's therefore using less water to grow and eking out its valuable water resources for longer. When plants run out of water, their stress response is usually to roll the leaves, and that of course reduces their ability to photosynthesize and build yield. So the longer you can keep these flag leaves unfurled and happy, the better. So just to wrap up, Moravis, great superpower, great stamina, the certainty that you're going to get those yield responses one way or the other. Hopefully that flexibility gives you that flexibility to choose the right spray timings for your farm this year and bring a bit of certainty in what's a variable and uncertain season.